going to move on to our guest speaker tonight. When I talked to Tyler at the beginning of the night, I asked him how he would like to be introduced. He said just a basic introduction, and I looked through and I thought, how can you summarize the accomplishments of Tyler McGregor? So I'm going to sum her up real quick here. 3-time Paralympian, 2-time world champion, Canada's top scorer at the last 2 world championships, and captain of Team Canada's Paralympic hockey team. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Tyler McGregor.
Thank you. How's it going, everyone? Glad to be in Neepawa tonight. I'll just be short. I'll just need like 45 minutes to an hour. Dan's getting on stage at midnight tonight. I'm going to be crawling out of this building later. I appreciate you having me tonight. I hope this hockey season's been amazing. I'm from southwestern Ontario. I'm from Forest, is my hometown. Unfortunately. Do we have? Oh, okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, live in the worst city in the world right now, Toronto. So I'm happy to slow it down a little bit tonight and be here with you. But as you just heard, like I've been to multiple Paralympics now, multiple World Championships. However, my career did not start like that at all. I grew up an able-bodied athlete in southwestern Ontario, and I was fortunate to be given every opportunity to succeed that I possibly could, from my family, from my community, from my friends, coaches, teammates, all the people around me who selflessly gave their time to myself and everyone around me to give me the best opportunity to just enjoy this sport. And I grew up playing minor hockey in Forest, and as my hockey career progressed, I was in my OHL draft year. I was playing minor midget AAA for Huron Perth Lakers. Not that that's relevant at all. And about 2-3 weeks before that season started, before I started my minor midget season, I'm a '94 year. Born in '94, the season prior, played with the '93's minor midget, so I was excited about entering my draft year and the possibility of hopefully playing junior and, understandably, hopefully taking the next step past there. And so about 2-3 weeks before the season, I was really having some serious pain in my lower left leg. And I had a great summer of training. I was a healthy young kid. Everything was going amazing. And I couldn't put my finger on what was going on. And so our first tournament of the year was in Toronto. We were playing Peterborough. In the second period of that game, we were up 4-2, had 2-2 already in that game, not a big deal. But I ran into a guy just in front of the net. It was a very innocent collision, and my leg broke. I felt my tibia and fibula, it just snapped. I tried to stand up, tried to crawl to the bench, and that was it. So, I mean, like, in hindsight, broken leg, whatever, it is what it is. You recover from that. It's a long recovery process, but it is what it is. So, I had surgery the following week. I was up walking within 2 to 4 weeks, pretty soon, and I was skating within 4 to 6 weeks post-surgery. So everything was going amazing. I was back practicing with my team shortly after that, obviously without contact. However, through the recovery process, I would say probably about 6 to 8 weeks post-surgery, I started to develop a little bit of a mass on the site of the fracture, and for months it went undiagnosed. I was 15 at this time, and I was extremely healthy. I was feeling amazing, and so the last thing anyone would ever think about was anything serious, any serious health complications. And so 4 months went by, and I was ready to get cleared to play for our first round of playoffs. We were playing Windsor in the first round of playoffs, and I was so excited. Despite not playing all season, I had my meetings with OHL teams. I was excited to play with our team first round of playoffs and just get back and be a part of it once again. And by that time, the mass on the site of the fracture was, quite honestly, it's the size of a tennis ball. Like, it was massive. It was hot. It was weird. And I was strapping a shin pad on. I remember my teammates were like, "What the hell are you? What are you doing?" Like, it was extremely uncomfortable. But everything was very unclear what was going on. And so finally, I went in for my final checkup to get a doctor's note to start playing again. And unfortunately, about 2 inches of my bone were missing on the site of that fracture. And so I had a titanium rod inserted during surgery that was essentially the only thing supporting my leg at the time. And I was lucky to be surrounded by some incredible doctors who decided that we needed to do a biopsy tomorrow. And they called me into the hospital. They did a biopsy, and I was diagnosed with a form of bone cancer, spindle cell sarcoma. A form of bone cancer very similar to what Terry Fox had, osteosarcoma. And so I started an 8 to 9 month chemotherapy protocol, and that season was done for me. But that was okay. It was hard to swallow, but acceptable at the same time, because things weren't done for me. It wasn't over. There was still next year. And so I started this chemotherapy protocol, and within the first few weeks, I met with an orthopedic oncologist, one of the top doctors in Canada, who said, he walked into my hospital wardroom in London, Ontario, and he said, "Tyler, in order to save your life, we have to amputate your leg." And I remember in that moment, first of all, it's a moment of shock, a moment of just like heartbreak and devastation. And I was in a hospital wardroom, so there was myself and 4 other young kids. I was in a children's hospital, and I remember just bursting out in tears beside my parents. And that was the moment I thought that my hockey career was done forever, and that killed me more than anything. I was more scared of that than I was to ever die, to be quite honest. Hockey at that time was my identity, it was everything to me. And that hurt for a long time. And it took years for me to kind of get over that. But fortunately, I finished an 8 to 9 month chemotherapy protocol in 2010, and I would say the one thing, or shouldn't say one thing, there was many things, my family, my friends, my community, all these doctors, nurses, all these incredible people who, despite going through such a difficult time, you're able to look around and just feel and experience an enormous amount of gratitude, and regardless of what you're going through, understand that you're lucky to be here. That was one thing that helped me through. The other thing was this game that we all love. It was the Vancouver Olympics, the year of the Vancouver Olympics and Paralympics, when I was diagnosed, and that's all I did for 8.5 months straight. Whatever it was just watch hockey. Whether it was the Vancouver Olympics, that year was the Chicago Blackhawks' first Stanley Cup. I watched that in the hospital with my parents. I watched NHL Classics on TV all the time, and that's what consumed me. And at that time, when I thought my hockey career was over, I started to think about alternatives. Will I be a coach? Will I be just volunteer in the sport? Will I transition to reffing? Whatever it was, I knew I wanted to stay involved, and I didn't know what that future looked like for me. And little did I know that it would turn out far better than I could have ever expected. And so, one of my former spring hockey teams in Kitchener, our former coach, Greg Bignall, said, or he was actually at that time good friends with a coach in a sledge hockey organization. And he said, hey, why don't you try this out? And once I fully recovered and fully regained my health, I was back on skates. I was actually back on my skates, in my skates, the day I finished chemotherapy. I was ready to play again. And I'll be honest with you, like there was a thank you. I was a pretty damn naive 15-year-old or 16-year-old kid at that time. I thought I was going to be the first above-knee amputee to play in the NHL. Never happened, never will. But I was actually, and the thing that led me to sledge hockey actually was getting back on my skates, and all my friends were playing in junior at that time, and my first time back on ice actually was after one of their games with them, and I remember just being so discouraged that, like just despite it just being an open skate, you're kind of just playing shinny out there. I couldn't keep up, and so I didn't have it in me to just be out there. I'm a competitor. I want to be the best at what I do, and sledge hockey offered me that opportunity. And so in 2011 is when I first started. I was introduced to the sport. I had actually just seen it for the first time in 2010 at the Vancouver Paralympics. And I'll be honest, like coming from a high level hockey prior to that, I thought I'd be unbelievable. And I was the worst. I was absolutely awful. I had no coordination skills. I had no core strength, no upper body strength, and at the same time, it was an opportunity to learn something new that I already knew very well. I'd played hockey my entire life. I've played since I was 3 years old. But I had to learn to play it a different way. And so it was this chance to challenge myself, both physically and mentally, and also just regain my identity as a human being. Just regain my sense of self, my sense of confidence, and try to build a new life. And first and foremost, that's what it offered me the opportunity to do. And then it's offered me everything more than that. And I think that's what's so great about sport, especially hockey, especially for you guys, is that hockey is so much more than just that. It's a venue for everything that life has to offer. And I think it builds character and so many things that help you later in life. And so that's how it started for me. And it's led to being able to represent Canada now for 10 years. And travel the world. And early on, I'll save you the cliche stories about just the hard work and the time spent in my basement, because I think that's most hockey players' careers, and most people with a passion for the sport, that's what they spend their time doing. That's exactly what I did. But I've had the luxury now of being able to represent Canada for 10 years. I've been to many world championships. I've only won 2, unfortunately. I think I've been to 7. It's not as many as we would have liked to win, but my first was in 2013. That was my rookie season. We went to to South Korea, and of my first major tournament, I thought after that winning would be automatic, that we go to every major tournament and just win. I learned very quickly that's not the case, and it's extremely difficult to win. Unfortunately, our biggest rivals are directly south of us, and they've got the best of us in the past several years. But after our first win in 2013, it was my first experience, at least at a Paralympics, and I was 19 years old at the time, turned 20 there, and we were defending world champions, expected to win. Unfortunately, lost in a semifinal game against the U.S. and left with a bronze medal. Still celebrated like it was gold. Didn't leave the locker room that night for about 4 hours, and then unfortunately, unfortunately, but fortunately, like when you win a bronze medal game, you have to wait around for the gold medal game about 6 hours later. So we had about 6 hours straight of drinking, and if I had some photos on the screen back there, I'd be embarrassed to show them, but not one single guy on our team looks like they're in good shape. A few shots of Zambuca, but anyways, that was my first experience with disappointment, or falling short of expectations. And so, things happened in between, but fortunately we were able to come back in 2017 and win a world championship once again. Our second world championship gold, or at least my second world championship gold, our team's fourth or fifth, whatever it was. And man, enjoy the good moments when you can, because they don't come often, and they certainly haven't for our team since then. Once again, they were in South Korea. International flights are the best way to celebrate. What we have learned in both wins and coming back from Asia are that there are 13-hour flights from Seoul to Toronto, so the flight crew has to change at some point. So if one cuts you off, you're not out of luck. And so, unfortunately, in Pyeongchang was probably the biggest heartbreak of my career, of our team's career. We were up 1-0 in a gold medal game against the US. We literally had the perfect tournament. Didn't allow a goal in the round robin or semifinals. Didn't allow a goal until 37 seconds left. We were up 1-0. They tied it up, and unfortunately we lost that game in OT. But fast forward to the past 4 years, I guess they've in a way have been non-existent, or kind of seemed like a blur. But we have once again been unfortunately on the wrong end of some situations against our biggest rival, and trying to fight our way back to finding a way to overcome that. But I think I'm most proud of our team, especially the core group of guys, for being, dealt difficult situations such as Pyeongchang in 2018, our last loss in Beijing, and still coming back for more, and just being hungry as ever, willing to learn and to grow and evolve and try to find a way to win. I think, more than any success story, maybe it's just because I'm on the wrong side of it, but that's what I admire in athletes, is people who just show up every single day, regardless of outcome, regardless of the situation, and they're hungry to work, hungry to get better, hungry to learn. And so, I don't know how long I've been up here. I should probably extend this a little more. I know Dan's getting thirsty back there. He's getting up here at 12:30 minimum though. But I do want to thank you for allowing me to join you tonight. I want to, wish the team the best of luck. I haven't met any of you personally, obviously, but I don't know if this is any of your last year of junior. Some of you may be younger, but I wish you all the best in everything that you do. I will leave you with this. A couple things actually, and I'm gonna have to check my phone for this, but I hope, just from my story, it is a little bit cliche. I hope from hearing my story, you can understand that life gets heavy at times. Life and sport, whatever it is, you don't always get to choose the load, but you do get to choose how you carry it. I think that's a lesson that's valuable for anyone, regardless of the context. I think one of the things that I heard and kind of tried to live by through my chemotherapy process and just dealing with cancer. But one of the things I heard early on that I always like to tell people is about mindset, but a mindset that can take you far in life. What I want doesn't exist, so I will create it. I think that's always important to remember. And then I think so much of life is about investing in the right habits, the right people, the right relationships, the right situations, whatever it may be. One of my favorite authors to read is James Clear, or listen to, or whatever, and he has a newsletter every Thursday that I pulled this from. So this isn't my own, but I think it's valuable advice for everyone, especially you young people. But look for situations in life where the energy is already flowing downhill. Invest in relationships where there is already mutual respect. Work on things that play to your strength. And then, once the potential of the situation is already working for you, add fuel to that fire. Pour yourself into the craft. Act as if you have to outwork everyone else, even though the wind is at your back. The idea is to sprint downhill, not grind uphill. And I think that's such a buzzword in our world today. It's being about the grind. Sprint downhill. Thank you.